All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something pretty fascinating, the world of beauty pageants, specifically Miss Universe Philippines.
Right.
So the reason this is so interesting is because there's a new national director, Ara Arida.
Oh, wow.
And if you know anything about Miss Universe Philippines, you know she's like a legend. She was third runner-up at Miss Universe in 2013.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
I know, right? So she's kind of come full circle.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the upcoming competition, Pageant 2025, has everybody buzzing.
So in
I
2025.
know it's a really evocative name.
Yeah, it is.
So we've got some excerpts from this Metro Dot style article that's going to kind of be like our jumping off point.
Okay.
And it really gets into like what Ara's new role is all about, what makes this year's competition so intense, and how pageants have really evolved over time.
I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be good.
Mhm.
So I think what's really striking about Ara's appointment is that she brings this really unique blend of experience and leadership. You know, she's not just some administrator. She's been there. She knows what it takes to compete at that level.
Right, exactly. And I think that's where the excitement around Books on 2025 comes from.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, just to back up a little bit, Ara was third runner-up in Miss Universe back in 2013, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's the national director. So, like, wow.
Quite a journey.
Talk about a full circle moment. So the article really gets into the nitty-gritty of her new role. She's responsible for, like, everything.
Everything.
Pretty much, yeah. From picking the delegates to training them all the way to organizing events, sponsorships, even, like, production stuff.
It sounds like a huge undertaking.
It is, and the article even quotes her saying initially she was super overwhelmed.
That makes sense.
But what I thought was so cool is that she immediately shifted the focus to the girls. You know,
Oh, hell.
she said something like her main goal is to help them and make sure they pick the best possible delegate to represent the Philippines.
It seems like her priority is really on supporting and empowering the contestants.
Exactly, and it's not about her past achievements, it's about helping these women achieve theirs.
Right.
And the cool thing is this isn't totally new territory for her either. She was a judge for Miss Universe Philippines in 2020 and 2023.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so she already had a good understanding of how things work behind the scenes.
That must have made the transition a lot smoother.
Absolutely. The article even calls it a natural and well-earned progression, so clearly she's earned the respect of the organization.
It definitely sounds like a good fit.
For sure. So, okay, let's talk about this Pageant 2025 thing.
Yeah. What does it even mean?
So the article says it's all about the intensity of this year's competition.
Okay.
And get this, there are 69 delegates this year.
69. Wow. That's a lot.
I know, it's crazy intense competition.
Yeah, it must be.
And it's not just newbies, there are a lot of experienced contestants coming back.
Oh, that's interesting. So you have this mix of fresh faces and seasoned veterans.
Exactly. It's going to make for a really dynamic competition.
Yeah. It sounds like...
And Ara's noticed this trend too. She said every year the competition gets tougher and tougher.
I can imagine.
And she talked about how there's just this endless supply of beautiful and intelligent women in the Philippines.
Well, yeah, the Philippines is known for having successful beauty queens.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really impressive is their dedication, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, she was talking about how these women have insane schedules,
Yeah.
sponsor commitments, media appearances. They're constantly in the public eye.
Right.
And yet they always look so polished and prepared. It's incredible.
Yeah, that level of discipline and professionalism is pretty remarkable.
It really is. It's not just about beauty anymore. It's about being a total package.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how pageantry has evolved over time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And Ara, having competed internationally, she has a really interesting perspective on this.
Hmm.
One of the biggest changes she's noticed is that candidates have a lot more freedom now.
Oh, in what way?
Well, like in terms of their personal brand, their styling, even their wardrobe choices.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she said back when she was competing, things were a lot stricter.
So now there's more room for self-expression.
Exactly. It's about showcasing their individuality.
I think that reflects the broader cultural shift we're seeing.
Yeah.
Where authenticity is really valued.
Yeah, for sure. But this freedom also comes with its own set of challenges, especially in the age of social media.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, Ara talked about how social media can be a huge source of support, but it can also be really tough if you let online opinions get to you.
Right. Both positive and negative feedback can be overwhelming.
And it's so different from when Ara was competing because social media wasn't as big of a factor back then.
It's a whole different ball game now.
It really is. So, you know, as we're talking about Ara's journey, I think it's super interesting to hear her thoughts on what was most challenging for her.
What did she say?
Well, it wasn't any specific event or anything. It was more like the day-to-day grind of it all.
Oh, okay.
She talked about the pressure of always being on, always looking perfect, always smiling, even when you're exhausted.
Oh.
She even said 24 hours wasn't enough, especially during those intense training periods.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you're constantly preparing.
And you're under so much scrutiny.
That must be pretty draining.
It is, and she talked about the importance of protecting yourself and your core values so you don't lose yourself in all of it.
Yeah, I think that's key in any high-pressure situation.
But, looking back at her whole Miss Universe experience, she sees it as a positive thing.
Really?
Yeah, she said it helped her to really get to know herself and become a better version of herself.
That's a pretty powerful takeaway.
It is. It shows that even in those tough, challenging times, you can grow and learn so much.
Right. It's about resilience and self-discovery.
Exactly. And Ara also talked about the importance of self-love and accepting yourself, even your flaws.
Oh, that's so important.
She believes that real confidence comes from that inner acceptance.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to criticism, even negativity, she has a really interesting approach.
What's that?
She uses it to improve herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she said she even looks at comments from bashers to see where her weaknesses are so she can work on them.
That's a pretty mature way to handle it.
It is. It's about turning negativity into something positive.
Yeah, it takes strength to do that.
For sure. And, for all those aspiring beauty queens out there, Ara had some really good advice.
Oh, what did she say?
Never forget your roots.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, she talked about how easy it is to get caught up in all the attention and fame.
Especially with social media.
Exactly. But it's important to stay grounded and remember who you are and where you came from.
And to appreciate the people who have supported you along the way.
Exactly. It's about staying humble and grateful.
I think that's important in any field, not just pageantry.
Yeah, absolutely. So what keeps Ara going in this new role as national director?
I'm curious to hear that.
Well, she said it's her dreams and goals that give her purpose.
That's great.
She needs something to look forward to keep her motivated.
That makes sense.
Mm.
We all need something to strive for.
And she also talked about how she surrounds herself with successful and driven people.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, their positive energy is contagious.
It's so important to have a good support system.
It really is. And she also mentioned some of the women she admires.
Who are they?
Well, of course, there are Filipina beauty queens like Venus Raj, Shamsi Subsipli, Janine Tuagon.
Oh, wow. Some big names.
Yeah, and they were her inspiration when she was starting out, and now they're her friends.
That's amazing.
She also admires Margie Moran, Lucy Torres Gomez for their wisdom and grace.
It sounds like she draws inspiration from a variety of sources.
She does, and even internationally, she admires people like Kate Middleton for her elegance and composure, and even the late Queen Elizabeth II.
That's a diverse range of role models.
It is. It shows she values different qualities and perspectives.
I like that.
And finally, looking back at her younger self, Ara had this really sweet message.
Well, what did she say?
You did great, and I'm proud of you.
Wow.
I know, right? It's just a reminder to appreciate your past and everything you've learned.
And all the experiences that have shaped you.
Exactly. And she also gave a shout out to her parents for instilling those core values that have guided her.
Family is so important.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that Ara Arida's appointment as National Director and Puxon 2025 represent a really exciting time for Miss Universe Philippines.
Definitely, it's a new era.
Ara's leadership is all about professionalism, empowering the delegates, and navigating the challenges of social media.
It's a more modern approach.
Yeah, and Puxon 2025 is going to be super competitive with all these talented women.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Me neither. And I think Ara's story teaches us so much about perseverance, self-awareness, and the importance of staying true to yourself.
It's inspiring.
It really is, and it makes you think about your own life.
In what way?
Well, you know how Ara talked about never forgetting your roots?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what are your roots? What are those core values that define you?
That's a great question to think about.
It is. How do you stay grounded and true to yourself even as you chase your dreams?
Something for all of us to consider.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It was a good one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Me too.